Valentine's Day is just around the corner, so I thought for today we could do a get ready with me Valentine's Day inspired look on the fly, just making it up. And I was inspired by the Glamlite Red Velvet palette, which I showed in an unboxing video already. I showed it to you, but we didn't swatch it or use it. So I've got the palette here, and I have used it and tried it since then, and I really like it. Got the cupcake on the front with the sprinkles. I love sprinkles. And then it has a lot of Valentine's Day perfect inspired colors. So this will be the inspiration for the video, and we're just gonna kind of see what we come up with inspired for Valentine's Day. So to get started, I'm just going to use my Face Atelier tried and true favorite foundation. This is in the shade 2 Ivory. And for today, I'm going to be using my Real Techniques Expert Face Brush to apply it, because my BK Beauty 101 brush that I usually use is dirty and needs to be washed. So we'll just use this. And I have already moisturized and prepped the face. And I also wanted to mention that recently in one of my videos, one of the comments, someone asked if I could show the foundation that I had tested with a beauty blender or a makeup sponge in addition to trying it with the brush. And if more people are interested in seeing that comparison, I would love to know in the comments, if you could let me know in the comments if you're interested to see the comparison between a brush and a beauty sponge. Let me know. However, the reason I usually apply my foundation with a brush, I do have beauty sponges. I use them occasionally. They're great for especially like soaking up excess makeup or for touching up powder and things like that. However, I don't use them typically to apply foundation. I don't typically use them on a daily basis because I am able to use my makeup brushes and wash them up, and like this one I've had for more than 10 years, this brush I've had, and you know, they just hold up and they last, as opposed to beauty sponges that you have to, you know, they do wash up, but you have to throw them out more regularly. So I typically tend to go with brushes over sponges for foundation. So when I'm testing a foundation, I want to test it to make sure it's going to work with a brush. However, if more people are interested in seeing what they look like with a brush versus a sponge, let me know, because that's definitely something I can start incorporating into foundation reviews. And I do have a couple more foundations lined up to test, so let me know before I record those videos so I can get that in. Alright, so I just did a nice sheer application of it, and I think that's good for today. I'm just gonna do something fun but wearable, so probably nothing too crazy, although let's see what happens, because I don't have any real plans, but I do have to go out after this, so I don't want to be too wild and crazy looking. So we'll see. For concealer today, I'm going to use the Colourpop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Creamy Concealer. And I featured this, tried it out just a couple videos ago. And I thought it was like, okay, not the greatest. But I didn't try it with a setting powder. I tried it with like a finishing powder. So I feel like I didn't give it a real fair shot. So I'm going to go ahead and try it today again and give it a little bit more of a fair test. So we'll just go ahead and see how it works today. And I brought an actual setting powder to try it out with to give it a fair shot. And I'm just going to keep with using the Expert Face Brush. I'm going to go ahead and use the Expert Face Brush to just blend this out as well. And I'm making sure to go over my eyelids because I'm going to use this concealer kind of as my eye primer as well, which I also talked about before in that video. I do feel like even right after I immediately put that on, it does kind of settle into lines and creases, like it's emphasizing them. I don't normally see them, and the foundation isn't doing it, but I do feel like it's already emphasizing lines under my eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and set it with a setting powder. This is the Beauty Bakerie Flower Better Not Bitter powder in the shade Translucent. So I'm going to go ahead and just set it with a powder puff. Now, just like beauty blenders, I don't use powder puffs all the time, but I do feel like it's the best way to set the concealer, like to really give it a fair shot. So that's why I'm going to try this puff today. And the kind of nicer made puffs actually wash up and last better than these that I've gotten. These are just, I purchased them like off of Amazon, and they're kind of inexpensive ones, which are great for like if you're using them on someone else to do makeup, like for a makeup artist. They're great because then you can just use it and give it to them when you're done, but or they can throw it away. But these don't hold up that great if you're just doing them for yourself. So if you're going to use a puff a lot, I would recommend looking into getting a little bit nicer puff that will actually last. After using the powder, it looks a little better. It's not quite as obvious because with the hydrating glow, it really emphasizes those lines. So once it's powdered down, it's a little better. I'm still gonna have to go out and say this is not one of my favorite concealers. So I may keep trying it to see if I can get it to work a different way, because I do like to use up my products as much as possible, try them, mix them, get them to work, and not continuously always try to buy new stuff. But this one is definitely not a great concealer for my dry skin, even though it's a hydrating one. All right, next I'm going to use the Persona Bronze Multi-Stick in the shade Dune to do some contour. And then I'm going to be using the Real Techniques sculpting brush just to buff that out. And I really love this cream formula of this bronzer. It's really beautiful, but it blends out so nicely. And this color Dune, I think, is like the medium shade, and it just looks like real sun-kissed glow rather than like an orange artificial glow. So I really do like this Persona bronzing stick. It blends out really softly, very nicely. I highly recommend this one, and it is cruelty-free and vegan, as are all of the products that I am featuring today. I hope. And if I do come across something that I find is not cruelty-free or vegan, then I will make sure to tell you as I'm using it or before I use it. That's actually something I wanted to mention. I haven't mentioned it yet. I did say many a time that I like to promote. And when I say promote, I just mean share my love of. I don't mean sponsored, affiliated in any way. None of this is sponsored or affiliated. These are just all products that I have purchased or been gifted by, a friend or family, or a free gift with purchase. No one's ever sent me makeup to review or anything. So this is just all my own personal thoughts and opinions, not sponsored, not affiliated. But I do like to focus on using cruelty-free, vegan, and sustainable products as much as possible. And sometimes I have products in my collection that have come to me via gifts or like a free gift with purchase, or even something I purchased in the past before I really started specifically buying cruelty-free and vegan products. So I already own them. And that's something my long-winded point here was that I wanted to say, if you're interested in using more cruelty-free and vegan or just cruelty-free products, then I definitely will have recommendations for you. However, if you already have items in your collection, in your stash, in your makeup kit that are not cruelty-free, are not vegan, and because of sustainability, I like to say, do use those up first, of course. So if you have them, use them. I don't want the items to go to waste. If you can pass them on and you're done with them, then that's great to be able to give them to someone else. But there's no reason that you can't already, use that one. And then the next time you go to purchase something, then consider something that's cruelty-free and vegan. But that doesn't mean that you should throw out all the makeup you have. So that being said, I do have a bit of makeup in my collection that isn't cruelty-free and isn't vegan, or isn't vegan but is cruelty-free. Those kind of things, I do have them, and occasionally they will pop up and use them because I'm continuing to use them and use them up, and not just throwing away the items, especially if they were already open and I can't pass them on anyway. So instead of just throwing them out, I'm going to use them up. So pretty sure everything here I brought today is cruelty-free and vegan, but occasionally something will something will end up in the pile that wasn't, so I'll make sure to let you know. So that is the bronzer. You can see just how nicely that blends out. It just looks like real skin. This is also another product that works well if you like to do underpainting. It's just so creamy. It blends out beautifully, but it just gives like a real natural glow. So make sure to eliminate any harsh lines. Sometimes with the lighting, when filming, it's a little different than in person. So it's kind of hard for me to see, but it's in person. This is just so natural and so beautiful, great for everyday wear. And then what I do is I'll still follow it up with a powder bronzer to just kind of set it in place. It's great if you have dry skin like I do. And I didn't actually bring in a great brush for bronzer, so I'm just going to keep using the sculpting brush from Real Techniques to lightly powder this Hourglass Elephant palette. I'm going to be using the bronzer shade in here. I'm sure you're sick of this palette if you've watched most of my videos because I feature it in all of them. But this is my tried and true daily palette that I do use and love, and highly recommend this one as well. It's just beautiful on the skin and looks very natural as well. So I have a whole video about brushes as well, but that's one of the great things about these brushes, and most makeup brushes, but especially these Real Techniques or the BK Beauty brushes that I often mention. They work great for cream and powder, so you don't need 1,000 different brushes, a brush for everything. It works really well to use it for cream and powder, and you can even use it for cream and powder in that order. Just be mindful, if you have a lot of cream built up on it, you might get a stronger application of your powder afterwards. So it doesn't hurt to have multiple brushes too, but in a pinch it works. And that's also great tip for traveling, is that you can really have a multitask brush that you can just kind of use for a whole bunch of things and not have to pack all of the brushes that you own and use a different brush for every little single thing, because that just adds up, and then you have to wash all your brushes. So, and just like you use a beauty blender for a whole bunch of different things as well, or a makeup sponge. All right, I'm going to save blush because I want to see where the eye look ends up before I put any blush. So I'm going to do eyebrows, and I'm going to use my trifecta that I mentioned in the last video or a couple videos ago about my 3 favorite eyebrow products. I'm going to go ahead and do that, starting with the Florence by Mills Tint and Tame eyebrow pencil. I'm going to start with this, and I'm probably going to speed through this part because it will take a really long time and no one wants to watch this. After the pencil, I'm going to go in with the NYX Lift and Snatch Eyebrow Flick pen. And then I'll finish it off with the Essence Make Me Brow Eyebrow Gel Mascara plus Filling Fibers. All right, the eyebrows are done. Let's go ahead and move on to the eyes. I'm going to start by using this Sweet Cravings color in the crease just to build. No, do I want to start? That's boring. I do that all the time. That's like a transition shade. Let's go straight in with, let's go with this Cupcake Heaven color. Let's go with that. We got more of a pink color going on. I forgot where I was for a second. What am I doing? I'm going to make a Valentine's Day look, right? So forget the browns. Browns are for every day. Let's use some pinks. I love pink. If I haven't said it yet already, when you're doing the crease like this, even if you start kind of with your eyes closed or start in the actual crease like this, especially if you have hooded eyes, you want to make sure you're really blending with your eyes open so that you can take from the crease and take up out of the crease and on to this upper part of the lid, because that's where you're actually going to see when your eyes are open. If you keep everything just on this part of the lid, like I think they call it the mobile lid. I don't know what the technical term is. Whatever it is, your mobile lid, your movable lid, this lid that is here. But once you open it, most of that disappears. So that's why you want to make sure that you are blending up with your eyes open, looking into the mirror, looking straight ahead, so that you're going to see what your makeup actually looks like when it's on, rather than when you close it and do back like this and then you look up and you realize you don't have any color. So like I said, make sure when you're blending and you want the color to be seen, that you're doing it with your eyes open and really placing it intentionally where you want it to be seen. And everyone's eye shape is different, so you just kind of have to play around to see what works best for you. And that's the great thing about makeup, is if you don't like how it turns out, it washes right off. And now that I said it washes right off, it is true, it washes right off. But I do remember when I used this palette before, I did have some kind of leftover staining, which is very, very typical of like pinks and reds and blues and purples. A lot of times you do end up with staining a little bit. So just use your best, eye makeup removers. Use a oil remover or a face like makeup, or just a face wash. Like do a double cleanse where you do an oil and then your face wash after that, and that will help with the staining. But sometimes it lasts a little bit, so you just want to either be aware of that or cover it up the next day with some foundation or concealer. If I remember, I will try to get a shot of the makeup after I wash this off so we can see what staining there was. We'll see. No promises though. By bedtime, all bets are off. That's such a pretty color. I really like that color. There's so many, it's hard to decide. Let's add just a little bit. Do I want to add it down here? I'm going to add a little bit in just the outer kind of corner as well. The outer corner of the eye. I'm just going to bring it all the way down. I'm going to use this purple confection color on the lid as kind of a base. I'm going to go over it, but I'm going to start by putting some on the lid just to see what it looks like. And the brushes that I'm using today, this one is an old Smashbox brush that came in like a makeup set a million years ago, and then the other one came in some like QVC makeup set. So I don't really know like their names or anything, but the first one was kind of just a domed brush. Any crease brush will work, and this is just like a flat shader brush. So it doesn't have to be, I like to not specifically name them sometimes because I want you to be creative and test them and use them and see how they work. All right, so that almost just gave like a whole, even though I used, the colors are close, but especially once I've got them on the eye, there's not a lot of differentiation between the crease here and the lid. But that's okay, because I'm just using it as a base. I actually wanted to use more color, and I would like to try, ooh, they're so pretty. Let's try the Baked Goodies, this kind of pinker one, and go on to the lid. And I'm kind of going on the outside of the lid to start because it's a little bit darker, not a lot, but a little bit darker of a color, and I might want to try a lighter shade on the inner part of the lid. So let's start here. Okay, now I'm going to go over the center of the lid, and I think I'm going to darken the outer with the shade Decadent, this kind of darker red shade. So I'm going to take that Baked Goddess still that we're working with, and I'm going to go even farther than I was going to. I'm going to go all the way to the kind of center of the lid. These are really nice shadows. I like them. I like them a lot. They're nice and creamy and buttery. So now I'm going to take that Decadent shade and I'm going to go back over the outer V, or at least the outer edge, to get started and see what it does. So I have to say, while I really like these shadows and the colors are beautiful, I'm not getting a lot of contrast when I'm putting them on the eye. There is like differentiation, but there's not a big difference between the shades, but I am choosing colors that are fairly close together. So it's a little of the palette and a little of me. I'm not getting as much differentiation between like this dark red and the Baked Goddess. Is that what? Baked Goodies. The Baked Goodies. Did I say goddess the whole time? I don't even know. It's been a long week. So I'm not getting a lot of differentiation on the eye between those two colors. I'm just going to use this is a Morphe M330 brush, and I'm just going to use this to blend and buff out the eye color a little bit. So now let's take the Cake Mix color and use that sort of on the the inner corner, the inner portion of the eye, more than just the corner. Like the inner third of the eyelid, maybe. That's really pretty. Next, I'm going to see if I can get more impact with my finger on this Baked Goodies color. So I'm going to try and put some more on the center of the lid with my finger. Well, that definitely worked for more impact. So let's try that with the Decadent red color too. It's really more of a dark pink. Let's look, hold on. I'm gonna blend that out, but before I do, let's just take a look. This is Baked Goodies. Super buttery, lovely formula. Baked Goodies. Now this is Decadent. It's still buttery, but it's a little bit coarser. It's a little coarser. So there's not a huge variation between the colors. And interestingly, the Decadent, which is this one, comes off a lot more hot pink. And then the Baked Goodies is a little bit more subdued. So I should have probably swatched those first before deciding on how I was going to apply them to the eye, but that's okay. I'm just using a dry makeup eraser, and I've talked about these a bunch of times that I like to keep them on hand instead of a makeup wipe or makeup remover, because you can just throw this in the washing machine and use them over and over again. So I've got that, and it's just dry. So even dry, there's just a faint staining. I bet if I got it wet, there would be very minimal staining. My fingers are a little bit more stained. But that'll wash off. So we'll see what the eyes do. Let's go back to that blending brush. And I'm going to wipe it on my makeup eraser just to get off any excess first. Making sure I'm blending with my eyes open too, so I blend up to where it will be seen. I'm going to take a little of the Sweet Cravings brown that I said I wasn't going to use, but I'm going to use it just to blend and buff out the whole upper of the eye, because without anything under my eyebrow, just blank, it's looking very harsh and severe, and we don't want it to look severe, so we'll just use that tiny bit of the brown to really blend the look together and go all the way up to the eyebrow. On both sides, of course. Much better, right? Much better. I'm going to go back in with my initial dome brush and take just some of that pink Cupcake Heaven that we used as kind of our starting transition shade. And I'm going to pull that along the bottom of the eye. Now, oops, that was the wrong color. Now, I have to say, pink around the eye can sometimes make us look a little ill. that's okay, because again, it just washes off and it's fun. And if you don't like, if you feel like it's really making you look too ill, take some of that brown shade and go over it with the brown just to warm it up, and the warmth around your eyes will hopefully help. I don't think it did anything, actually. What this needs is good black eyeliner. Alright, so I think we need some black eyeliner to kind of pull it all together. And I bought this a while ago and haven't tried it. This is the Pacifica Vegan Water Resistant Eyeliner in the shade Jet. So let's see how it does. It's like a wooden pencil, so I'm not sure how creamy it's going to be. This might be the job for a gel eyeliner. That's okay. Just having fun. Okay, I finally got it out of the packaging. Hooray! Let's test it. Oh, it's actually pretty creamy. However, a chunk did break off, like onto the side of the pencil. So I'm a little worried about it chunking on the eye, but let's see. Okay, so it was actually pretty creamy and applied pretty easily, not a lot of pressure, actually better than I was expecting. My only kind of complaint is it is black. It's black for sure. Maybe because it's on top of this pink, it's reading not quite like blackest black. Like, I think it could just be like a little more intense black, but it's actually it's better than I had anticipated. So I actually do really like that. So we'll see how water resistant it is. It rubbed off my hand quite easily. So we'll see, but I'm hoping it doesn't transfer. And because of that, I think it would be great to test it in the waterline. Because the other pencil that I brought is the little stump that's left of my Urban Decay, the Glide On eye pencil in the shade 0. And it is a great pencil, and it is black, and it glides on very easily. But it does like transfer. I get a lot around my eyes, and it'll kind of collect in the corners of my eyes. And so it does collect. And so I want to try and see how this one does for the waterline. I still love that Urban Decay one because it is like just that deep black and beautiful, and it lasts pretty well, but it does smudge. For a waterproof liner, it's pretty smudgy. So I'm just starting with the waterline on the bottom lash. And then I'm just going to use my dome brush that I use for the shadow under it and kind of smudge a little bit, just to really marry those two lines together. My eyes are starting to water a little bit, but not much. I have very sensitive eyes, so you know, and stabbing yourself with a pencil in the waterline is going to make them bleed. I mean, tear. So that's normal. I usually don't do my inner waterline except for kind of when I'm doing more intense looks like this, because it just makes your eyes pop even more. And because of that, it makes the kind of, when you're using like bold colors and stuff around the eye, it makes it look, I actually think, less harsh, even though it's a much more intense look. So I'm trying to do the inner waterline as best as I can. And it seems to be applying really nicely, actually. I remember, I think this pencil might have been on sale or something, but I just remember kind of throwing it in my online shopping cart at Ulta. Like, that's not going to work, but well, worth a shot, right? Because I don't always love like a hard pencil. I like a more gel pencil, but I love this so far. This I think would be great actually for daily use too. And I love that it's like a wooden pencil that you can just sharpen and not like a retractable one that you have to like throw away the plastic. So very good. Wow, I'm excited. I didn't expect that. So of course this is also cruelty free and vegan because all of Pacifica's products are cruelty free and vegan. So I was gonna do lashes, and I think this look could use lashes, but I'm actually running out of time before I have to go, so I think I'm just gonna go with mascara. So for the mascara, I'm going to use this Polite Society Greatest Lashes of All Time. And I've talked about this mascara a couple of times before, and like I said, I like it for every day, and this is a look that is like a little more than every day, so I kind of wish I would have chosen something a little bit more impactful, but that's okay. This will do. Like I said, I was gonna do lashes, and I just think I'm out of time for today because I got some to test, and they're like individual strips or individual lash clusters, and it just could go very, very wrong, and I'm running out of time. I don't have time to have it go very, very wrong today. So I still have to clean up under my eyes from like the fallout of the shadow. That's okay. I'll show you how I do that. I'm just gonna do a quick version of the cleanup today because, like I said, I'm running short on time. It happens. So there is the eyeliner for you. I mean, well, the eyeliner up close and then the mascara too, so you can get a good look. So let's do a little bit of cleanup from the fallout. I'm just gonna flick away what fell out under my eyes with my foundation brush, concealer brush that I was using. Notice that this color is coming down a little farther, so I'm gonna just match it. You know, most of us don't have eyes that are exactly the same shape, so we just do the best we can to make them match. So what do we think? Pretty? Fun? Will you be my Valentine? If so, please subscribe and like the video. Thank you. Let's see. So, a blush. Blush and lips is what we have left, So, I've got some bright shades that I ordered from Give Me Glow. And I think we gotta go with this hot pink. This is the color Pink Freak, it's called. And yes, it is very bright. I'm going to use a big powder brush from Real Techniques so to diffuse the color a little bit, and I'm just gonna tap in, make a mess. And before I go on my face, I'm actually gonna tap it into my hand so it doesn't immediately give me a hot pink, but it will. But do you see how beautiful it is even for a hot pink? Like, I'm gonna blend this out a lot, but ooh, it's building. It's building up. I don't want that, but it's just such a beautiful color. It's like That's the thing about really pigmented blushes. This blush is beautiful and you think like, whoa, that's way too bright of a color. And it is a very bright color, but you can really start with the boldness and then tone it down. And that's the cool thing. You know, sometimes you work with light pigment products and you build them to get more and more color. With blush, I feel like, of course, that does work, but you don't want to add like so much product to your face because you don't want it to start to get cakey. So I actually find working with a very pigmented blush and just using the smallest amount is a really cool way to get impact without putting a lot of product on your cheek and making your base too heavy. So as you can see, I'm taking my foundation brush and concealer brush and the brush that we just used to clean up the makeup. And you know, I told you this is a multitasking brush. You can just use it for everything. But I'm taking that, it might have some of the foundation or concealer left on it, and I'm taking that and going over this really intense blush and toning it down some. And it's still going to be intense, but I did want to go for, you know, this fun, really pink look. And I just think this is like, I mean, it looks like you're hot, but it's got this beautiful, real, true pink flush. So you kind of, you know, you're in love and you're blushing on Valentine's Day. That's the look we're going for. The look of love. And if you still feel like it's too intense, then take the powder puff, and this powder puff doesn't have any extra powder on it, but if you feel like you want to tone it down, then you can just take some more powder and go over the top of your blush, and that's totally going to layer just fine as far as product goes. So I actually am like warming up, so I'm getting a real flush to my cheeks as well. But this is pink, but I like it. I like it. For the lip, I wanted to bring in this BK Beauty lipstick in the color Passion. And this is like the most red of the shades, of the first shades that BK Beauty launched. Again, their products are all cruelty free and vegan as well. It's like the most red shade, but it's still not very red. I do really like that color. I didn't want to go for a red lip because with this look, you know, I knew I was going for a pink eye and I didn't want to also do like a red lip and be very intense. So this is the BK Beauty Everlast Lip Liner in the shade Alter Ego. And I'm going to start with that. This is a very kind of plummy shade. This is a very creamy lip liner, so I've kind of blended it into the whole mouth. I'm going to put a little powder over it, which will help to really, set it in. So I'll go in with that lipstick in the shade Passion. So this is a really creamy, hydrating formulation, and I do really like this. I feel like the combination of lip liner and lipstick kind of helped to make it a little bit of a muted, subdued, more natural lip, but darker than natural, but the same tones and kind of the pink family. So I feel like that helped marry them all together. And I do like how that turned out. I think it's a beautiful color, and I like the hydrating formulation of the BK Beauty lipsticks. So the last thing I'm going to add is a little bit of highlighter and like I'm going to add a cream highlighter, and then I think we're good. I think we'll be done. So this cream highlighter is from the brand Clover, and this is the Clover by Clove and Hallow, and this is in the shade Clio, the Glow Stick Illuminator. And I did a whole video on these Clover by Clove and Hallow products, and I hated this. But I was realizing that I think it would be a good Valentine little look for a really bold face. So I'm just gonna apply some around where I would normally apply highlighter, a little bit maybe on the nose, on the Cupid's bow. Got some lipstick on there. So just a tiny bit of highlighter to finish it off. I wouldn't repurchase this. I don't love it, but again, this year I have made it a goal to use the makeup that I have and not go out and purchase more to replace it. I want to use it up. So I'm working on using it up. And no, I don't think that you have to use makeup that you don't love, but it's kind of a challenge for me to get myself to use them in ways to find ways that I do like them and ways that I can enjoy them. So I'm giving myself kind of that challenge of seeing how I can incorporate them and seeing if I can enjoy them before immediately just like discarding them. So I am making that a goal, and that's something I'm doing. So I think that product, part of the reason I didn't like it is it doesn't really do much of anything. But I do think that that was just what we needed for this makeup look, something that didn't do much of anything, but just gave it like maybe a tiny bit of shine or shimmer highlight with that cream. So that is the final look for today's video. Thank you for joining me here on Unfiltered Makeup. Again, I so appreciate you hanging out with me. If you want to see more like this, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe. I'd love to have you, and I will see you again next week. Until then, take care of yourself.